Hey, everybody. Hope you're having a good Monday and a good Monday evening. If you live in the city, chances are the story that you are not only experiencing by way of news, but also as you walk around the city, you are seeing the massive demonstrations outside of some of our city hospitals because 15,000 nurses are on strike. This is three hospital systems that have striking nurses: Sinai, Montefiore, as well as New York Presbyterian. So again, we're looking at 15,000 nurses who have walked off the job. And the two big things that they say that they need in order to get back to work is better pay and better staffing levels. And so we wanted to break this down and to figure out what's really happening here. So let's bring in Parag Amin. He is a labor attorney. And this is kind of, what you do. You handle labor disputes for people. Thank you so much for being with us tonight. We really do appreciate it.
My pleasure.
So kind of take me through. I mean, you've been watching this news unfold that these nurses have walked off the job. What are some of the things about this that stand out to you as a labor attorney?
Well, firstly, it's the magnitude. You're talking about 15,000 nurses at very busy hospitals at a time during winter when a lot of people get sick, a lot of people get ill. And so hospitals are already at the brink with patients. And so a strike of this magnitude with this many nurses over several hospitals means a lot of challenges for patient care and making sure that patients are safe during this strike.
I was in the hospital 8 months ago when I delivered my daughter, and this is my third kid, so I've done this before. But let me tell you, the nurses were the ones that did everything. I love my doctor immensely, and she's quite talented, but let me tell you, everything I needed, I went to a nurse. Every before I needed something, they were there. They are truly the foundation of these hospital systems. They do it all. And so to think that 15,000 of them are, laying down their scrubs and walking off the job is just so shocking.
That's right. And the experience you're describing with the birth of your third child is something that many people who have been to the hospital, whether it's for the birth of a child or for something else, have experienced. That nurses tend to be the front lines. They tend to handle a lot of the things, including patient care, including following up to see how you're doing, including getting you the things that you need. So a lot of us have a lot more interactions with nurses, and that's part of the issue, is that nurses are saying that they're really overworked as a part of this strike, and they're looking for better pay for that, along with various safety improvements in the hospital system to help ensure that our nurses also continue to stay healthy, just as they're taking care of us, for us to continue to remain healthy.
Yeah, this is a drum that they've been beating for a while, though. They keep saying that there is a nursing shortage. We keep hearing about it. In fact, the issue came up just a few weeks ago when the Trump administration labeled this a non-professional degree and changed some of the rules around loans and what you can get. And a lot of nurses were outraged for that. But as you mentioned, the main issues that they are fighting for: safe staffing, better workplace safety, fully funded healthcare benefits, which is ironic considering that they work in a hospital, and fair wages. I mean, of these issues, and based on the cases that you fight and your expertise, what do you think they have the best chance at fully winning in this fight? Is it the wages? Is it the healthcare benefits? I mean, all of this does cost money. And these hospitals say, if we give them everything they want, we'll go out of business.
That's right. Well, part of the challenge with RN pay is that the proposal and what the RNs are requesting would actually push, at least according to the hospitals, their pay well over $200,000 annually. So on average, you're talking about nurses that are doing about 36 hours or so in 3 12-hour shifts over a week plus overtime. And part of the challenge is how that overtime gets allocated, and sometimes nurses are working significant shifts and significantly longer than their 12-hour shift, which is a problem. But realistically, I do foresee some level of improvement in pay, as well as many other benefits in safety, because safety helps across the board. One of the things that nurses are asking about is better screening for weapons and things for individuals coming into the hospital system, and better screening and safety for precautions relating to preventing nurses from getting sick and catching some of the things that patients have. And so overall, I think that you see a double benefit from hospitals doing that. One, increased patient care, as well as nursing care. So I fully expect that the hospitals will be willing to provide those things.
Yeah, I mean, we do know that it's quite expensive to operate in New York City, any business, but especially a hospital. And with the rising cost of labor, rent, technology, inflation, I mean, all the things simply just cost more. So you can understand when these hospitals say that their margins are being squeezed and there's not as much profit to go around. But if you do dig into the numbers, these hospitals are making money. I mean, there is a significant profit. I was looking up, like, for example, the New York Presbyterian Hospital System. um, they're making around $850 million a year in profit. So if I'm a nurse who's grinding away, helping the sickest of the sick, or even, if you're a nurse on a maternity floor or something like that, I'm thinking, if you're making that much money, shouldn't I be able to support my family as well? But something has to give.
That's right. The money has to come from somewhere. And, as you mentioned, many of these hospitals do have record profits compared to other types of businesses. But something to keep in mind is hospitals, in terms of the labor cost, is significantly higher. An average company tends to have one third of their overall costs as labor costs, whereas hospitals, that number tends to push to about 60%.
Oh,
So
wow.
you're talking about significant cost when it comes to labor in a hospital. And so that's something that the hospital is looking at, because this is not a one-time charge. You're looking at an ongoing long-term liability. And this is why hospitals are being so careful, despite the magnitude of this strike, about what they're willing to give away, because these negotiations have been going on for a few months. And perhaps the hospitals thought that the nurses wouldn't actually strike. But considering that their contract just expired at the end of last year, they have gone on this strike, and I think for all of us, we're hoping that it ends quickly, because it's important for patient care. But I agree with you. I think it's also important that the people who are taking care of us when we get sick are treated well and are treated fairly.
Is there a component of this story that we're missing, which happens to be what insurance is paying out, and how easy it is for these hospitals to recoup some of those costs from the insurance companies?
Well, something to keep in mind is exactly that, which is that insurance companies have a tremendous amount of power when it comes to the amount that they're being paid from hospitals, and so or what they're actually reimbursing hospitals for regarding the care. So insurance companies and their profit margins should be absolutely a discussion in this whole dialogue, because insurance companies are in fact making record profits. And what happens is there's something known as the reimbursement rate, which is there's the going rate that gets charged for a certain visit, and then the reimbursement rate where more than 50, 60, sometimes 80% of the charge has to get written off per the contract with the insurance company for the reimbursement.
Mm.
So many times hospitals are also dealing with that, because as a byproduct of allowing insurance at the hospital, for allowing insurance to pay for this treatment, they are agreeing to a much lesser rate in exchange for the guarantee of payment from the insurance companies.
All right, I'm going to let you go. I just have one more quick question before I do. We're on, technically, I guess, day one ish of this. I mean, it's fairly new, the strike, right? How long do you think this is going to go?
I fully expect they should be able to get this resolved within the next 30 days. I think both sides really understand the magnitude of this strike, how serious it is, how important it is, not only for themselves, but also for patient care. So this is not something that I expect that would drag on, kind of like the government shutdown. I fully expect that they'll be able to get this resolved within the next 30 or so days.
30 days is a long time, though, Prong. I mean, I thought you were going to say, oh, the next couple of days, the next 2 days, 3 days. 30 days is a
We've
long time.
That's right. It is a long time when it comes to patient care, but I think there's a lot of demands being made, and so I think an interim deal could potentially be reached over the next day or two to at least reactivate in the short term these nurses working. But I think a long-term solution will likely take longer than a few days.
As somebody who understands labor disputes, would you have a concern about going to one of these hospitals right now?
Absolutely. Absolutely. The hospitals do have traveling nurses that they're staffing, but the reality is it's about 1,000 or a few thousand that they're going to be able to get. So they are going to have shortages when it comes to patient care and staffing, despite hospitals trying to play it like it's not that big of a deal, that they've got these traveling nurses and they've got this covered. The reality is hospitals are at a significant disadvantage because of the labor shortage with nurses, and then being able to get that quantity of traveling nurses is going to be extremely difficult.
All right, Parag Amin, thank you so much for joining us tonight. We do appreciate it and for your expertise.
Thank you.
Have a great night.